Hello and welcome to Horsforth School. My name is Ms Green. I am an English teacher here, and today I'm going to take you through a lesson that is very similar to the sort of thing you will do in your English lessons in September when you start with us as Year 7s. You will need a pen and a piece of paper. At several points I'll tell you to pause, and now would be one of those times if you need to get a pen and a piece of paper. Our main focus is going to be on descriptive writing, and in particular how we can use the senses to make our descriptions more interesting and more vivid for our readers. I'm going to show you 3 images. I just want you to choose one of these pictures. So just choosing one, not all 3. And for that one image, I want you to write down 10 adjectives to describe it. You don't need to write in full sentences. You can just write down the words. Adjectives are describing words. So 10 adjectives. Pause the video now while you do that. Great. I hope you've got some interesting words on there. Next step is I want you to see if you can change 3 of your adjectives to be a little bit more ambitious. So are there 3 that you might be able to mix up to make more ambitious? For example, if you had the word nice, is there a more precise word you could use in its place, such as vibrant? You might want to use a thesaurus or a dictionary to do this. You can access them via Google, or if you have one in your house, that's brilliant. Or even ask some people around you. You can pause the video now while you do that. Great. So just to be really clear on our learning objective today, we are going to be exploring how important the senses are in our creative writing in order to engage readers. And that means that somebody who picks up our writing, they have to enjoy reading it. It has to be interesting to them. So we can think about how using the senses, which is something that you will share with your reader, can enhance your writing. When we talk about the senses, we're thinking about sight, things you can see. These often dominate descriptive writings. We've also got hearing, so things you can hear, sounds, smells, a wonderful array of smells that help you to identify or feel immersed in a place. You also have taste, and you have touch, so that's anything connected to texture or even temperature, if it was related to something your character was touching. Just take a moment to think about these different senses. Think about which of these you would find it easiest to write about. And I'd like you to write a little sentence, if you can, explaining why that sense would be easiest to write about. Once you've done that, think which would be the hardest sense to write about. And if you can, try and put that into a sentence as to why. You can pause the video now while you do the task. Great. Now return to your initial list, so the first list you did, which had 10 describing words, 10 adjectives for one of these images. As you're looking at that list, think about, are any one of the senses dominating? Is there one sense that you've used a lot? For example, things you can see. Try and organise your adjectives into different categories, so group them. Have you got adjectives connected to sight, sound, taste, touch, smell? And here's your challenge. If you've only covered 2 of the senses, I want you to see if you can hit at least 4 senses. And you can be as imaginative as you like. Pause the video while you do that. Great. So we're going to get into a busier scene now, and we're going to be writing some more lists or groups of words. To start with, I want you to look at this picture and I want you to write down everything that can be seen. Pause the video while you make that list. It's just a list. It doesn't need to be full sentences. Lovely. This time, a new list, or it could be a little bubble drawing. Everything that you imagine could be heard. Try and be as detailed as you can. Imagine you're walking down the street. What are the different sounds that you're going to come across? You think about big sounds and smaller sounds. For example, the birds in the cages, people. No complete sentences at this point. It can just be ideas of lots and lots of different sounds that you'd come across in this place when I'm waking up our imaginations. Pause the video while you do that. Wonderful. Now, imagine that you are one person on this street. You might be moving, you might be staying still. Can you jot down everything that that one person would feel? And here, we're not talking about emotions necessarily. We're talking about the sense of touch. So what does the ground feel like under their feet? Is anyone jostling into them? Are they reaching out to touch anything? Anything about the sense of touch. If you want, you can add in emotions at this point, because that might feed into the kind of senses that we talk about. And if you want to push yourself, why not add in smell and taste as well? They can often be more challenging senses to include in our descriptive writing. Pause the video while you do that. Great. Just before we do some descriptive writing, I want to draw your attention to some little pitfalls that people come across when they are including the senses in descriptive writing. So just pause the video while you have a look at these 4 sentences and think, what's the area we could improve in that sentence? There's something about these sentences that we could improve. So you might have noticed that they all refer directly to the sense, and you don't need to do that because it will be implied in the other words that you are using. So you don't need to state explicitly, this is something you can smell, hear, taste, touch. We can work it out from the kind of words that you are using. Have a read through of the alternatives in a moment and think about how they feel better, they feel more interesting and more engaging, and that they don't need to explicitly state which sense it is, because we will understand that from the description. Once you've done that, you might also just want to spend a moment looking at the hints and tips for descriptive writing, particularly ones that talk about how you start your sentences. Okay, pause the video now. And so we've reached our big task of the day. We're going to try and pull together all of these ideas and your brilliant words that you've come up with, the different senses linking to this, and we're going to create a really interesting piece of writing. I'd like you to try and aim for about 3 paragraphs, if you can, to describe this image. And you want to refer to at least 2 of the senses. One way you might do this is to imagine walking from one end of the street down to the other and think about what you would pass. So describe that walk as you go. If you are pushing yourself, think about including some ambitious vocabulary, interesting adjectives, and you could even use a thesaurus to help you. Pause the video while you do that. Great. Now it's time to read through the writing that you have done. We like to read back through our work to really reflect on it and reflect on the skills we've used and what's gone really well, and how if you had another opportunity or if you had a bit more time, what could you make even better? Our success criteria for today was to try and refer to at least 2 of the senses, to try and avoid referring to the sense overtly, so I can see, I can hear, I can smell, but instead using the other words such as the verbs in the sentence to show us which sense you're talking about. Ideally, you will have used some ambitious and interesting vocabulary, and that you will have hopefully had a go at organising your text into paragraphs. And we're looking for about 3 paragraphs. This is another good opportunity to think about your spelling, punctuation, and your grammar. It's what we call SPAG. So have a little think. Have you used capital letters, full stops? Maybe you've used a wider range of punctuation as well, such as apostrophes or speech marks, even perhaps a semicolon, hyphen, or a colon. Have you stayed in the same tense? So is it all in the present or all in the past? Do your spellings look okay? Don't worry if not. This is how we learn and improve. And have you maybe got some different sentence lengths in there? Perhaps some different sentence starters. Have a read through what you've done. Think about this success criteria. And then I want you to give yourself a WWW. That is a what went well, something you're really pleased with about your work. Once you've done that, then think, if I got another opportunity to do some descriptive writing, how could I improve it? How could it be even better? And I want you to give yourself 1 EBI, and that is an even better if. And that's just something to keep in your mind for when you do more descriptions. If you want, there is an extension task there as well. So you can complete description so it has an ending, or find a picture of your own and write a description using it. Thank you very much for your hard work today. You can pause the video while you do that, and I will see you in September.